Good day guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video we're going through my round 13 AFL tips plus predictions. Obviously the buys rounds are continuing and this week it is the big freeze round obviously. So yeah, let's get straight into the tips. Let's start off with last week's games now. I went with Port by 14. This was really a 50-50 game. I just went with Port just because they were at home. But in that last quarter, Carlton just really pulled away. It was pretty much a 50-50 game. Although Carlton did, just look like the better side. So yeah, disappointing to get that wrong. Now, this is where things get good. I went with the Dogs by 13 in an upset. I think most people were going with them against Sydney. I think it's going to be a similar game. I was tempted to change it, but I stuck with the Dogs, and I'm happy that last quarter from the Dogs. Wow, what a performance. And I think we do owe Bevo a bit of an apology now. They are proving themselves, the Dogs, that they can be a final side and knock off these good sides. So yeah, good job there, pipping Collingwood, even though they did have lots of outs. Again, really happy. I'm pretty sure the ones that I got correct this week, I got the correct scoreline for. So Robriak's tipping competition, I got up quite a bit. Went with the Hawks by 19. They actually won by 27. It's, again, a 50-50 game. I just went with the Hawks because it was at the MCG. That really paid off. They were definitely the better team for the whole match. Happy about that one there and some really good form. I went with West Coast, but with all the outs and that stuff, because I do these videos on Mondays, things do change. So I did change it just to back in my side. I kept the ESPN footy tipping on West Coast, but I changed it to the Saints. That paid off. Better performance from us. We were able to score a bit more. Really 50-50 game throughout the game, but I think we just had that massive last quarter. I was at the game, obviously. Just a good response there, so happy there. Went with the Cats by 36. As I said, I didn't think it would be a big demolition, even though it was at GMHBA. Richmond played pretty good last weekend. Essendon, to be honest, they were up by, I think it was 24. So yeah, Richmond, they're definitely playing some better footy. Just the Cats in the end, they ran over the top of them. Then Sunday, I had a poor day, just like Melbourne. I went with Melbourne by 2. Fremantle won by 92. If you predicted this scoreline, you would have to be not in your right mind too, because this was a weird match. Like, well, I don't know what the hell happened to Melbourne. Freo were just so good. That's embarrassing if you were Melbourne. Not even North Melbourne have lost by that much this year. So yeah, it's just disappointing for Melbourne. But yeah, credit to Freo. You know, Freo are one of the worst scoring sides in the comp, and Melbourne are one of the best defensive teams. So yeah, but that scoreboard certainly doesn't display that. You know, Freo were amazing, so credit to them. Then I'm tempted to change it to the Suns. Went with the Dons by 17. They're in good form. The Suns at home, they continue their 6-0 streak at home, and they get the job done by 11 there. So yeah, I got I got the 4 out of the 7 this week, so I'm pretty happy. 4 on 3, I'll take that because I did get all the correct scorelines. And I want to see how I'm doing in Rob React's competition just before we get to the tips quickly. I think I'm going up quite a bit. I'm not doing too well this year. I went up 8, so yeah, really happy about that. Where's Rob? He's down 18, so yeah, happy about that. But we'll get straight into the tips for round 13, and we start off Thursday night game, which, you know, coming into this season, I think they already have this one scheduled, but looking at it now, this is probably one of the worst Thursday night games. Adelaide taking on Richmond at the Adelaide Oval. Now, this one, I feel like the Crows, they should just be able to play some good footy and get the win. But Richmond, as of late, they've been playing some pretty convincing footy. Only had that 30-point loss to the Cats in a game that they weren't accurate. They probably could have made it slightly closer. And against Essendon, they were pretty good at the MCG in the Dreamtime game. So Richmond, they're certainly a hard team to beat now. I think ever since they had that 190-point loss to Brisbane, they're certainly starting to play good footy. But for me, the Crows, they're just too good. I think it just sort of matters what they win by. Let's go with the Crows to get a 29-point win. It should be a fairly easy win for the Crows. Not really expecting much from Richmond on this Thursday night game, but I think they'll be able to put up a bit of a fight. But yeah, for me, the Crows just too strong there. Then on the Friday game, we have the Dogs taking on the Lions. A game where, you know, the Dogs are in certainly better form. If we look at their last 4, they're 2 wins, they're 3-1. And Brisbane, they're not in the best of form. They had a loss to Hawthorn, and then they had a draw-win. So, yeah, they're doing all right, Brisbane. But this year, they have just been a bit disappointing. They've been lacking a few things around the ground. Their defense isn't quite there. I just questioned the team a little bit this year, and Chris Fagan. I think this just should be a good game, but for me, I'm just going to have to go with the Dogs. I think this is at Marvel. I think if this was at Gabba, I'd be tipping Brisbane, but we did see the Lions lose to the Hawks here, who are in good form, but for me, the Bulldogs, they've just knocked off a red-hot Collingwood. You'd back them in here. So I'll back in the Dogs to get a comfortable win by 18 points. I think that they're just the better team at the moment, and I think they'll win this one. And yeah, Brisbane, I don't know what they'll be now, but I think their finals chances, if they lose this game, are getting a bit more concerning now. I think that means they'll be 4-7 or something. So yeah, I'm going with the Dogs by 18. They did have a bye this week, the Lions, but I'm going to back in the Dogs. Yeah, what should be a pretty good Friday night game. Next up, Saturday, Arvo, technically. It's Hawthorn taking on the Giants. Now, the Hawks, they've been in very good form, and they had that 1 point loss to the Power. So, really, they should have 5 wins in a row. You know, they definitely deserve to win that game against the Power. Obviously, we know that goal, but that's in the past. They have just playing some exceptional footy. Knocked off the Bulldogs, knocked off the Saints in 2 very close games. But their recent games against Adelaide and Hawthorn, against Adelaide and Brisbane, have been comfortable wins. They bet Brisbane by 25 at Marvel, and they also bet the Crows at the MCG by 27. So there's not that, even though they are playing some good footy, they haven't travelled anywhere in their last recent form. They did travel to Adelaide over, which was a loss, but they really should have won that game. So yeah, they should really have 5 wins in a row. Giants, they're not in the best of form, although they did just knock off the not the Red Hot Cats, but they did knock off the Cats, who were having their struggles at GMHBA. They had the bye this week, obviously. For me, this one's tough because it's at Eustace Stadium, so for me, the Hawks, they've been in very good form, but I just feel like the Giants, they always win these games, and I feel like Hawthorn, they play this good month of footy, then they fall away. I think this is where they're going to start dropping away. No discredit to Hawthorn here, but I'm going to go with the Giants. This one's a tough one by 10. I feel like they just win these games when they need to, the Giants, and they need to win this to get themselves back into finals contentions, top 4 contention. So I'll go with the Giants by 10. Tough one, though. Next up at Optus Stadium, we have the Eagles taking on the Roos. Now, the Eagles, 2 straight losses in a row to the Saints, which was a credible performance, although their loss to Adelaide was pretty poor. 99 points, really should have lost that by 100. North, well, they're still winless. There's no point looking at their recent form, to be honest. They're 0-11. They are just looking disappointing this year. Although they do come up against a West Coast Eagles side, who last year these two sides were the wooden spoon favourites. I feel like North Melbourne could actually play here. I know West Coast are very good at home, but I just feel like, I don't know. This is sort of becoming a winnable game for North Melbourne. I know the Eagles did just knock off Melbourne, then they had that loss to the Saints. So 2 home games in a row for West Coast. I feel like North could actually play here. Obviously, it's against the West Coast side, because now that Harley Reid will probably be suspended, the Eagles, they've got a few injuries themselves. I can't remember who is out. This could be a big chance for North Melbourne, but for me, I just think the Eagles, they'll be looking for their 4th win of the year. I think it would be a bit disappointing if they did lose this game. So I got the Eagles by 12. I think that they should get the job done here. But I think I wouldn't be surprised if North Melbourne do get the win, even though it is at Optus, where West Coast have been playing some exceptional footy. That's where all their 3 wins have come from. So yeah, I think West Coast will get their 4th win of the year and win by 12 points. Next up, at Marvel Stadium, it's my Saints taking on the Suns at Marvel Stadium, Docklands, which I'm happy about because the Suns, they're still yet to get an away victory. But at home, you don't want to be playing them there, or really at TIO, because they are just a great side there. They've won all their 6 games technically at home. And my Saints, well, we had that good win over West Coast, impressive 4th quarter. Other than that, we've just been disappointing this year. And the Suns, they're in some pretty good form. So, yeah, I wouldn't take this game lightly at all. We shouldn't be, really. We're like 6 positions lower than the Suns at the moment. So, yeah, we're not playing our best footy. I still don't believe we're a bottom 4 side. I think that we have been playing some tough oppositions. As much as we have been disappointing, we have had a few close losses this year. At the moment, we do have Dan Butler playing in this one, I believe. I'm not sure of the teams yet. I actually have some faith, only because our record against Gold Coast is pretty good. I think we've lost only 5 games against Gold Coast, which is the 2nd best record against the Suns. I was reading in our history, we've only lost 5 games. So, yeah, I'm actually really confident coming into this one. As much as the Suns have been playing good footy, and it's not just because we won against West Coast, I'm going to back my Saints in. I just think that the record against Gold Coast is good, and we're playing them at Marvel, which we thrashed them last year, and then we did lose to them up on the Gold Coast. But I just have faith. We need to get this win to... We're not going to make finals, but just to be a little chance, sort of like Adelaide at the moment. Our pulse, there's still a little pulse to go 5-8. I just want to see a good win. Can we get a win? I'm going to go with the Saints by 13. I just want to see a nice win at home. I think it was. The Suns lost to Carlton here a couple of weeks ago, so I got with the Saints by 13. Come on, let's play. I'm going to back my side in. I haven't done it in a while. I know I did back them in the end against West Coast, but I just don't have much faith in my side, but I want to gain that back. The nice win over West Coast. Let's win by 13. Next up, Sunday game, Sydney taking on the Cats. Now, if you asked me this game a few weeks ago, if this was being played a few weeks ago, absolutely I'd watch it. But now this is sort of becoming very one-sided. You know, the Cats, they've fallen away quite drastically. They've had 4 losses in a row. Got that win at over Richmond at GMHBA. Like, what do you take out of that, really? It's against Richmond at your own home ground. You're obviously going to win that. And they weren't even that good in that game, the Cats. I thought that Richmond, they probably could have won the game, probably should have, but the Cats just too strong in the end. For me, I just have to back in Sydney. I think that if this was at GMHBA, it would be a different story, because I remember when these two sides did verse, it was a draw at the SCG, and back at GMHBA, the Cats absolutely thrashed the Swans, which definitely will not be happening this time. So I think the Swans are the better team. I'll back them in by 22. I reckon the Cats... I could certainly see them winning this game, don't get me wrong, but I don't think... Yeah, Swans haven't lost a game at the MCG. They've only lost 1 game for the whole season, so I think they'll continue their good form, and I think they'll go 12-1, I believe. I'm not sure, maybe 11-1, but yeah, whatever they do, they've only lost 1 game, according to me, because I'm going to back them in by 22. Second, I was going to say last game of the round. Second last game of the round, we have the Dons taking on the Blues. This should be a very good clash. You know, both sides are similarly ranked on the ladder, and this time we will finally probably see the Mackay brothers play, unless one of them has an illness or anything, but that's just unlikely. You know, if one of them does have an illness, apparently, you know, that's clearly fake, so they just don't want to play each other for whatever reason. I think it's been like 5 years now where both of them have been in the comp, and they haven't played. I think we will see it, and this is going to be a good battle. Last year, Essendon, they thrashed Carlton in their form slump that the Blues were having last year. I think this is the game where Carlton had that last loss, and then they went on the big run to make finals, obviously. I'm going to back in, this is tough. I reckon the Blues are going to win. This is tough. You know what? Should I tip a draw? I think we've seen too many draws between big clubs this season. Give me Carlton by 15. I think Essendon, they'll fall to 8-4. Again, I don't think they're top 4 worthy. I definitely think they're finals worthy this year. If they do lose this game, though, they could just be a bit shaky. I know they have lost 2 games. They do lose this to Carlton Suns, but you don't want to be losing this to your Essendon. But I just back in Carlton a bit more. So I think the Blues, they'll be looking to make top 8. And if they win this, they're back in contention for that. And 2 weeks ago, we wouldn't be saying that about the Blues. And 2 weeks ago, we'd be saying Essendon were top 4. But for me, I think Carlton, they're going to win. So I'll back them in by 15. Then the Monday game, Melbourne public holiday, the big freeze game between Collingwood and Melbourne at the G. This should be a pretty good game. Now, as much as Melbourne were disappointing last week against Freo, lost that game by 92, obviously, I think they'll respond. I certainly do, against a very good informed Collingwood side, who have had a draw and a loss, so they're not in the best form, but neither are Melbourne. You know, they're 92-point loss. You just can't excuse that, and they're going to use their travelling excuse, we had to fly out to Darwin. Absolutely. If you're saying that, you can just get out of the room. They were just so disappointed. In the first 2 minutes of the game, where they kicked 2 goals, I was like, the Melbourne are going to thrash Fremantle here. And then Freo, they got a bit of momentum back, and I was like, I actually think that Freo will win now. And then they just continued their dominance after quarter of time, pretty much. Freo. Melbourne, they're apparently one of the best defensive teams in the comp. But to be honest with you, I've lost faith in them to make top 4. I think they'll still make top 8, but top 4, they've thrown it away. Too many better teams in there. I'm going to go with Collingwood to get a win here. I think they should get a win, although I think Melbourne will respond. You just can't say that Collingwood are going to win this by any more than 30. I'm going to go with the Pies by 20. Melbourne, they're still a good team, but I think Collingwood, they're just playing a bit better at the moment, and they want to get this win desperately. So, yeah, I think Melbourne will respond, definitely, but I go with the Pies by 20, just the better team at the moment. Anyway, so those are my tips. Obviously, Port Adelaide and Fremantle have the byes this week. So I went with the Crows by 29, the Dogs by 18, the Giants by 10, the Eagles by 12, my Saints by 13, the Swans by 22, the Blues by 15, and the Pies by 20. If you did enjoy this video, please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.